People of Arizona, we cannot allow the citizens of Arizona to live along the border, ranchers, and live in fear.
Yeah, Governor, thank you
very much. This is
very
America,
much.
after all.
It certainly is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Colbert, you could work on so many issues. Why are you interested in this issue?
I like talking about people who don't have any power. And this seems like one of the least powerful people in the United States are migrant workers who come and do our work but don't have any rights as a result. And yet we still invite them to come here and at the same time ask them to leave.
It has to do with their conduct, what type of clothes they're wearing, their speech. They admit it. They may have phony IDs. A lot of variables involved.
You judge people and arrest them based on their speech and the clothes that they're wearing?
Yet my deputy sheriffs have investigated, arrested on the streets, and in the jails over 51,000 illegal aliens. If you want to be in the United States, you have to follow the laws. I have nothing against immigration, legal immigration. If you're here illegally and you violated serious laws like identification theft, which most of the people working in these businesses that we raid have your ID, that's a serious crime. Why aren't we talking about that?
Another raid today by the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office on an historic Central Phoenix restaurant. 3 people arrested following an 8-month-long investigation. Our Christine Harrington joins us live from the old spaghetti factory on Central, the site of today's raid. Christine.
Yeah, Patty, as you say, 3 people have been arrested, and the sheriff tells us they're still looking for 4 more people. Altogether, that is 7 people, he says, that are using stolen identities in order to work here in the United States.
The day that they showed up, I was off. I wasn't working that day. I was here. It was a Friday morning. I actually was putting in sprinklers in my front yard and backyard. I woke up early. I went and bought the stuff. I was digging the trenches, and around like noon, I actually came inside to grab a glass of water, and that's when my phone rang, and it was someone from work, and basically they said, "Hey, you know, the sheriffs are at work. You know, they got Julio and Meche."
I was scared. All of these thoughts came to my mind, and I just couldn't believe it. I thought it was just like a dream, man. Like, it wasn't really happening. But when when my boss actually talked to me and said that they were looking for me, I didn't know what to do.
I was in shock. I turned around from my kitchen to walk outside, and that's when I saw the 2 officers outside. I shut the door, and I ran back inside, and I mean, I felt like my world ended at that moment. I immediately called my wife. She was at work, and you know, I told her, I said, "Hey, you know, they're here."
It was just like a shock. I mean, I never thought it would happen. I don't know why, but I just never thought it would actually happen, and so I was obviously in some sort of shock. So it's hard to express your emotions when you're just kind of running off of adrenaline. So, but I was really upset when I, you know, tried to come home, and they're like, "You can't even go in your own house," and I was like, "Excuse me?" I
sat here, you know, I felt like a mouse in my own home. I kept running back and forth, and I just didn't know what to do. When my wife showed up, they wouldn't let her come inside. They told her if she opened the door, they were going to enter with force. So I knew that there was no way out. you know, I did make him wait a little bit, and then I called my wife and I said, hey, let them know I'm coming outside so that, you know, they don't try to use any force on me or anything. And basically I opened the door and walked outside.
It was like a nightmare. I immediately called my mom and told her what happened. As soon as she found out, she went to my job, but when she got there, they were just taking me. Me and my coworker, well, we were scared, but mainly sad.
My world ended that day. I felt like everything that I had ever, you know, all my plans, all my dreams, you know, everything just had ended that day.
My life was pretty much unknown from that day forward. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how long it was going to be. I didn't know what to plan. I didn't really make any future plans. I kind of just lived day by day because you never knew what was going to happen. Even after talking to attorneys and things like that, they only have so much information that they can give you.
I lose sleep every night. If you have immigration deportation cases, those are among the most intense cases that any lawyer will ever handle. When I lived in California, I lived in a wonderful place, and Arizona seemed the back roads of the Wild Wild West. And when I came here, I confirmed that it is. When I first came to Arizona, Joe Arpaio was obviously a presence, but he wasn't as hateful and dogmatic about his hate toward Latinos until it became a political platform for him that could continue to keep him in power.
Sheriff Joe acts like he's doing this great justice because he did a raid on a business, but really he's just getting a lot of the good families who have families, and that's why they're working, is to provide for their families and ensure that their families are safe.
They come here seeking safety. It's a privilege to live here, and I think that when you have a third world country next to the superpower of the world, obviously people are going to want to come here.
My mom was here. I was 8 when I came in.
My parents moved over here when we were little.
I've never had anything to do with the law, anything bad to do with the law.
I'd never been in trouble in my life. I'd never been arrested or anything like that. So
I like to play soccer. I like to draw. I like to cook. That's it.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
I'm not a racist. I'm just reporting what's happening. People are coming here, and they're not just Latino. They're Asian. They're Russian. They're everyone. And they're coming here and crossing our borders illegally. Therefore, they are illegal aliens.
Dora the Explorer, the bowl-cut sporting Spanish-speaking cartoon character, recently landed right in the middle of the debate on immigration. Mugshots of Dora with a black eye and bloody lip are popping up online, claiming she's an illegal immigrant.
I do not know. I do not know what an illegal immigrant looks like.
Most of our ancestors came legally.
Well, I don't know about yours. Can you prove that, Larry?
On 16th Street, close enough to PCH that you can see choppers landing, sits a neighborhood where the walls of the buildings have been turned into giant canvases. The place is called Calle 16.
When I first heard of SB 1070, I was like, what? You know, it's kind of, I'm going to equate it to when I first heard of what was happening on Katrina, with the signs that said, help us, on top of a bridge. That's what I felt like. I felt like, fucking help us. This is America. Right before SB 1070, as it was in the legislative, I had commissioned a mural in the back by Ed Moises to tell a story. And it's a beautiful mural. It's in the back. As he was signing it in the month of July, right after SB 1070, he was out here in July, and the summer is horrendous. He was doing the finishing touches. He was having a very serendipitous moment and all this stuff. And some guy pulls up in a truck. He shows him a gun and says, "I'm sick and tired of seeing you wetbacks out here painting up on my walls in my neighborhood. Go back to Mexico." And he showed him the gun. El Moises is a Mexican artist. He's a very sensitive young man. He up and moved. He moved to New Mexico for a year, but he came back, and he's fighting the fight through art. When I heard that account, I knew that you can't fight hate with hate. What are we going to do? So we retaliated with art. And murals have told stories for hundreds of years, and they will continue to tell story, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to tell a story right here on Calle 16.
I've always been an artist, kind of more like graffiti style artist, but kind of trying to venture into painting and community murals and projects like that to, kind of guide bad kids into better light, and try to, expand their mind as far as art. A lot of them are closed-minded, so they never know, they'll never know unless like somebody like me kind of comes out and tells them, hey, you can do better and you can come up in life with your art, I feel like I'm needed here, and I feel like my art and what I do keeps me here to help out my people and our struggle.
We're happy with the project. It's very organic, it's grassroots, and it's with love. We're not pretending to be something we're not. It's totally with love.
So SB 1070 now, here in Arizona, it makes the communities in the state look bad. It makes the state look like a bunch of cowboys, rednecks, and racists. And it's not who we are. It's not what we are. Any law that denies basic, pursuit of happiness, any equal rights, anything that it makes people tries to take people backwards instead of forward. It throws the world off. And Bob Marley said it best. He would like to see black, white, Chinese, whoever, just mankind live together. And I think that's a good way to look at it.
I thought Martin Luther and Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta, I thought they already had fought and did everything for us so we don't have to. And I'm not going to stop until it changes, awareness of what SB 1070 means not only to Arizona but to the entire country, because apparently when it comes to backwards thinking, as Arizona goes, so does the rest of the country.
Attention, return to your port of embarkation. There is no work for you in the United States. You have no job skills. You will be a drag on our economy.
We cannot afford all this illegal immigration and everything that comes with it, everything from the crime and to the drugs and the kidnappings and the extortion and the beheadings.
Let's listen to this exchange between yourself and Mayor Rebecca Jimenez from nearby Guadalupe.
You said that you don't want us back here tomorrow? Is that what you said? Well, we will be back here tomorrow, full force.
I figure you would.
And one more thing. If you don't like the way I operate, you go get your own police department.
Now, back to our show.
After they arrested me here in front of my house, they put me in a SWAT car and drove me down to Joe Arpaio's offices. They processed me there. Then they took me to 4th Ave. That's where they did my fingerprints and everything else. And then from there, I think a day later, they took us to Durango.
They basically put me in a cell, and right until then, I was surprised, but I just I felt helpless because up until that point I couldn't really do anything. That was it for me.
I didn't know if I was going to get deported right away or if they were going to keep me there. I had no clue what was going to happen. It was just, you know, it was just, I don't know.
Basically how they schedule it is week by week, and so you can see them 3 times a week in person. That's if there wasn't any sort of restrictions or anything like that, which always something came up and like they took away because it's a privilege to have a visit.
I actually found out the sex of our baby in the visitation room in jail.
I was very newly pregnant and it was our first child, so I think it took a huge effect on me. I had a lot of support with my family and Hugo's family.
Good thing, you know, we both have good families that stepped up and helped us out and provided for us.
And so I needed to be his strong, like, backbone while we worked things out.
To be put in jail with, you know, drug dealers and rapists and, you know, you name it, it was a big shock for me. I mean, I was terrified, and the conditions of the jail are horrible. And so, you know, it was just it was not a good experience.
Everybody, I had to share my cell with 3 different people. So it was 4 of us in a cell. The only contact I had with my family when they went to visit me was through a screen.
I ended up getting charged with attempt to take the identity of another.
Well, I was charged for forgery, for identity theft, even though it wasn't anybody's papers.
Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, Joe Arpaio was doing lots of immigration sweeps. He certainly wanted to get people detained, prosecuted for possibly not having a driver's license, and then transferred over to ICE. And in fact, the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office also has been known to have taken busloads of people down to the border and have them removed from the country without the intervention or knowledge of the U.S. government.
After I got released from Durango, after I did my 90 days there, they sent me, ICE picked me up. And so what I thought was going to happen was I was going to get sent to one of the federal prisons for immigration. And then from there, it was going to be up to a judge. But I actually got let go here in Phoenix by the ICE agents.
If they do not have documented status, then the state police can call Immigration Customs Enforcement to pick them up. And that is it. It cannot penalize them. It cannot do anything to their status. It can't deport them, can't effectuate their status.
They didn't tell me I was going home right away. I had to go to like 2 or 3 different courts so I could actually get a bond.
Between lawyer fees, phone calls, because, you know, to talk to someone that's in jail, it's very expensive. So I'd say with, you know, after all the fees and everything and probation and, you know, everything, I'd say we were probably a little bit over $15,000.
The jails, they seriously take all your money, and I don't know how they do it, but they literally can like take all your money, and you're just like, where did all that go? And so it's just interesting how they work.
If you really look at the laws closely, I mean, it's just not right.
My legal opinion regarding SB 1070 is that it is born out of hate. Arizona always has stated that the reason it did SB 1070 is because the federal government doesn't wish to act. It has failed to act. But it has failed to act because of extremists in Congress, in the federal government, like those here in Arizona, who have not wanted to create a system that incorporates people into our society when they do contribute.
Growing up, I mean, you were always reminded that you were not like everyone else. So, I mean, as much as I could, as much as I try to, be like my friends or, act as American as I could, I always knew I wasn't.
Because it actually prevented me from going to school. I couldn't go to college because of it. I actually applied for college like 10 years ago when I graduated from high school, but I couldn't go because I didn't have a social security number.
If I could, right out of high school, I would have enlisted into the armed forces, but then again, I couldn't.
A U.S. citizen who wants to immigrate their brother from Mexico is going to take about 18 to 20 years. That's separation of family for a very long time.
You have to become a temporary resident. You have to then become a legal resident, then a permanent resident. Then you have to be a permanent resident for, I think it's 5 to 10 years. And then you can actually apply for a citizenship, which can take up to 5 years for them to approve it and actually take the test and get it.
There's millions of people like me that were brought here by our parents. We didn't choose to come here. It was never in our control or anything. And this is all we know. This is our country. I consider myself an American.
We're just not bad people, man. That's it. You can't judge all of us because some of them actually do bad.
Well, it's important to show that the people of Arizona want something done about illegal immigration. That's why the state legislature passed that law. But quite frankly, I don't even need it. We've been enforcing state laws anyway. So I did support it. We'll continue to support it.
I wish to see a more free Arizona, an Arizona free of hate. The best way to handle an immigration system is both for Congress and the President to act in concert to determine that individuals who have lived here honorable lives should be, and for a long time, and have families and contribute to our communities and to our economies, that they should be enveloped into our society as people, not simply as workers or people who come here to supplant American workers. They are part of our communities.
I think something needs to be done. Maybe a pathway for us to prove ourselves that we want to be part of this country, that we want to serve our community. But I just don't see a law like SB 1070 really working, for the good or bad.
It's a pretty typical life. I mean, we both work. We have our son Jaden, and we have one on the way. So we definitely have a full life with a lot of activities and just the working American, I guess you would say.
I think that any immigration policy needs to bring those people in. Obviously, not those who commit crimes, those who hurt our society, those who take away from what the American dream is, but people who come here to live, to raise their families, and provide a decent living for themselves.
If we didn't want a better life, we wouldn't be here. If it was better in our own country, we would have stayed. But we were looking for a better opportunity, and that's it.
It's not going to end. And SB 1070 is producing so many beautiful, strong, young fighters for the fight. And we'll see them. Give us 20 years. She'll be a president, for sure.
I will now sign Senate Bill 10-7, 10-7, 10-7.
My brothers and sisters, it's time to ride. Arizona, the revolution will be televised. Oh, you thought we were just gonna sit back and not say nothing? Well, guess what? You push us, we push back. Yeah. They say the strength in numbers. Well, I brought a few friends with me, and we got something to say. Racism is alive and thriving in Arizona. 1070 is heartless, we need us an organ donor. Jan Brewer must be in a coma. She needs to come to her senses instead of a self-interest. This is one instance why I despise the government. Russell Pierce, Sheriff Joe, and them Republicans. I admit it, I don't get it how they look at things. They make a vein apply to Chavez and Dr. King. Racial profiling never been okay. Why you signing into law like it would be okay? Bad enough, cops stop us because of the cars that we drive. Worse enough, it's a recession. We're just trying to survive.